Hello Kings fans, and welcome to another edition of Kingscoop.com, one-on-one with Harold Pressley. I'm your host Malcolm Means, again with Harold Pressley. So, Harold, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. Just
right
been
on.
A nice long day of birthday parties and training here at the Hardwood Palace, and I'm enjoying myself.
A lot of tournaments over here, a lot of things going on for the kids to do.
It's a wonderful place. It's basketball. It's basketball at its finest. We have training going on for all ages. We have birthday parties. We got volleyball here. We got indoor soccer. We got rock walls and bounce houses. We got foundation events going on. It's a big sports event center.
Well, make sure that you guys try to check it on out over here in Rockland, Hardwood Palace. Great place to be. So you were kind of talking about it a little bit, and basically what I want to do with this show is kind of give Harold Pressley background bio for those of you Kings fans who kind of know who he is, but really want to know a little bit more about this guy. First of all, outstanding player from Connecticut, two-time state champion back in the 80s. He had the bushy afro. I saw the pictures and the short shorts.
They were kind of short. But we had sexy legs back then.
So talk about your high school experience. Talk a little bit about that and how you developed into such a great player, because you were an All-American your senior year in high school.
Really what it came down to was just time on the court. It was an awful lot of time, an awful lot of effort. It was work daily. When people ask you how many hours a day do you get on the court and work out, well, yes, you do put in a lot of hours, but it's more what you do in those hours that you're out there. Because you could spend 5 hours out there and just throwing the ball up and down and hoping that you learn something. Or you can get out there and really work on some skills.
Right.
Your ball handling, your driving to the basket, your pivoting, your footwork, your shot, your defense. You can do all of that by yourself. Basketball is one of those games that you can actually improve all by yourself.
So in high school, what position did you play?
Primarily, I played as center. I was obviously usually the tallest guy on the team, and obviously that's where they needed me the most. But I had a high school coach who was terrific and understood that that's not what the position that I would be at for the rest of my career. So he forced me to bring the ball up. He forced me to play a little 2, little 3, power forward. But primarily, when the game was on the line, I was a center.
Okay, and then you took those skills that you had right there to, thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, somebody got to clean you up.
You need a lifesaver too?
Probably a Tic Tac would help.
Well, I promise not to breathe on you. I'll talk this way.
Thank you.
So talk about Villanova and your experience with Coach Massimino. Everyone knows about the great historic game between you and Georgetown and your epic battles with Patrick Ewing.
Somebody actually said the other day, they walked into Hardwood and said, "You guys weren't no Cinderella team." So what do you mean? He says, "You guys were one of the best teams in the country that year. And they called you a Cinderella because of your record." And that was true. Our record at the end of the season was 19-10. But those 10 games that we lost, 5 of them were to pretty much the #1 and #2 team in the country, being Georgetown and St. John's. We lost 5 games between Georgetown and St. John's that year. And they were just battling back and forth to see who was #1 in the country all year long. Then the other teams that we lost to were all in the top 20 primarily. So it was one of those things where, yeah, we had 10 losses that year, which you can't be in the top 20 if you got 10 losses.
Right.
But if you look at our schedule, you would say, no, you have to slide them in there somewhere, because they just played the #1 and #2 teams the entire season. But going back to Massimino and Villanova, it was an incredible, well, the whole thing was incredible. Rolly Massimino was a master at the last 2 minutes of the game, what to do and how to get things done. And he just orchestrated that whole Final Four, actually the entire tournament, to a T. I mean, he just put it all together, and he knew exactly what we were going to do game to game. And then, you know, obviously it was up to the players to go out and execute his game plan, but he had worked us so much throughout the 3 years that I was there that we knew exactly what we were going to do against the Georgetown in that championship game. Going against them and St. John's, even worse, throughout the season was a little bit of a learning process, because Villanova had a chance to beat both of those teams. Probably 4 out of 5 games that we played them, we should have beat those 2 teams. St. John's one game just to kill us so bad that it was it was embarrassing. we had no chance that game. But you know, John Thompson is a magnificent coach, but when you talk about Rolly Massimino, he was completely prepared to play Georgetown that night. And that's really what you have to do. You have to be prepared for that night. You can prepare for the next game all you want, but if you don't prepare for that night, things could go a different way.
Is he a big motivational guy? Does he one of those guys who kind of kicks you in the butt if you're not doing what you need to do?
He will do all of that. He had all of that covered. He was a motivational coach, one of the best motivational coaches you will run into. Anything that he could use to get you up, he was going to.
Right.
He was also a teacher. He was also a father figure. He was also a guy that was a friend. You could talk to him about anything. I mean, to this day, I still talk to him 2-3 times a month. It's just one of those situations where he's very comfortable, very easy. He's a very relaxed guy, and he wants to know how you're doing. He wants to know how your family's doing. He will come out and visit me once a year. It was that kind of relationship from the start, and that's the type of guy he is. As far as a coach, he's going to work his tail off. I coached with him 3 years at Cleveland State University, right. And the things that I've learned in those 3 years is just unbelievable. The time and the effort and the caring that he puts into the kids is second to none. He's going to make sure you graduate. He's going to make sure you grow up. He's going to make sure that you're a very wonderful person. And you can't say enough good things about Rolly Massimino and how he was not only as a coach, but as a person.
Right on, right on. And you played in the golden era of when Big East basketball was in its prime. You know, that was really the power conference. Like you said, you guys had 5 games that you played the #1 or #2 teams?
Yeah, 5 games that year.
Who plays a schedule like that?
Primarily was #1. I mean, we had to go back to back to back. We had to play Georgetown, and then it was #1. The next game, they got beat by St. John's. St. John's became #1. Guess who we had to play next? St. John's.
Wow.
So, and it just kept happening that way all year long. And, you know, we played that same year, we played Maryland with Lenny Bias, and that was just ridiculous. And playing North Carolina that year, Michigan, and I mean, every time we turned around, it seemed like it was a top 10 team that we were going against, and we weren't afraid of any of them. We knew that we had the talent to hang with, beat them. There was no fear from the Villanova side because, I mean, we've done it. We've been there. We played against everybody that had a name.
Right.
We played against people that just, you know, that year they thought were going to stomp us.
Right.
And, you know, that it wasn't going to happen because we knew what we were going to do.
And you guys had an identity from the start as to who you guys were, so it wasn't an evolving process. You guys kind of already knew who did what, right?
We went through it. The year before was our growing year. Coming into Villanova as a freshman, we were ranked #8 in the country with John Pannone, obviously Pickney and Stuart Granger, and we had a heck of a cast. We actually had a better team my freshman year than we did in the year that I won it as a junior.
Wow.
But we weren't ready.
Right.
You know, it just wasn't. We ran into Hakeem Olajuwon from the Fly Slammer Jam.
Fly Slammer with Clyde Drexler?
Yes, we did.
Oh, man.
Bischoff and that whole crew. And it just wasn't going to happen. But we were very talented my freshman year. My junior year, when we won it, we were smarter. We knew how to play the game. We knew our style.
Right.
Everybody was on the same page, and that's really what carried us through.
So then you guys win the national championship. That was your junior year, so you stayed for your senior year. And then what do you do in the Big East?
Now, it's not like I wanted to stay. I did want to stay, but it wasn't like I had any other option. Nobody was knocking on the door saying, "Come on, we're gonna select you number one." No, I went back to to Villanova for my senior year, and it was a wonderful experience.
Right.
You won't believe the way people treat you after winning a national championship when you have one more year. I tell Pickney and McLean and everybody else that graduated, you guys really blew it. You should have stayed one more year. That's when the fun came. Yeah, some of the free cheesesteaks and
all the hoagies and
walking around town. Yes,
running around.
It was a great feeling. But on the court, it was my year.
Right.
You know, it was time for me to step up. Getting out of the shadows of Pickney and McLean and the seniors that we had, it was time for me to step up and take control. And I ended up having a pretty decent senior year. And by that, I was, Big East Player of the Year.
Decent.
First person to have a triple-double in the Big East.
You heard it first. Wait, say that again. First what?
I was the first person to have a triple-double in the Big East.
Against Providence.
You talk about all the talent that came through there. People say that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you have a Patrick Ewing and a Chris Mullin and a Walter Berry, and I mean the list is endless. But yes, it was the first one, and I had it strangely. It was 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 block shots.
Wow.
Yeah, so it came in a different way.
I'm thinking that the assist would come in there, but no, again, you're playing the power forward, center role.
Right.
Wow.
So it turned out to be just a fantastic senior year. Points and rebounds and block shots and steals, and it was just one of those years that it was a magical year. It was a year you expect to have after a championship run, with your confidence flying so high, and you're thinking, "Wow, we just pulled off one of the greatest stories in sports history."
Right.
And you carry that into your next season.
And so you guys had a little bit of a swagger until you guys ran into Georgia Tech.
No, we had Georgia Tech. If you go back and pull out the film, I blocked the shot at the end. They called it a foul, and sent Georgia Tech to the line for 2 free throws that put the game out of reach.
And that was John Sally's group.
Yeah, the referee really, if you go back and he would actually say, "I blew that call."
So they needed instant replay on that one.
Way back then.